So we're going to talk about Claude MCP agents and how to build anything, but not just that, how to do it in the simplest, least technical way. So this is the easiest way that I know to set up MCP servers with Claude. Super simple, really fast. Doesn't require messing around with terminal or coding like an FBA hacker or anything like that, right? If you're wondering, okay, what are MCP servers? So they allow you to connect with apps without having to install everything separately, right? So for example, if you were using something like NA10, if you wanted to build an AI agent that has all the functionality of, say, Gmail, then you have to plug in separate tools over here, right? So you'd have one tool, for example, for messages, then one for labels, then drafts and threads, right? So if we click on that, we have to set up all these different tools. It's a little bit inefficient because it gets really messy and it gets really time consuming to set all that up, right? Whereas, for example, if you just wanted to say get all the functionality of Gmail or all the functionality of Google Drive with your AI agent, then it's really easy to set those up using MCP servers. And you can do this inside NA10 as well. I'll come on to that a little bit later. But if you want to do this in the simplest way that I know how, then what you can do is you can install Visual Studio Code. Then you're going to install Klein, and then inside Klein, just make sure that you've got your Anthropic API key plugged in here, right? We're going to be using Claude 3.7 Sonnet, like you can see, and this will allow us to build MCP agents. The other cool thing about this is like when you're setting this up, you can have custom instructions. So this is all customized to you, how you want it to respond, etc. And not just that, but with Claude MCP agents, right? This can use computer use. So it can browse through whatever you create. It can preview it before you finalize it. So let me show you an example of that. So we're going to exit off here. We're going to go over to the marketplace. We'll go to Perplexity, right? And inside this MCP Marketplace, we can use Claude to install all of these MCP servers for us. Beautiful thing about this is the least technical way I know to set this up. So for example, if you wanted to set up an MCP server inside NA10, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go over to SEO. So let me show you how this works. So you're going to have to go to SEO, like you can see right here. Then you're going to have to go to services. Then you'll have to search NA10 inside the services section here. Create a new service. Wait for that to load. Find NA10, right? And then self-host NA10 with SEO, right? Then you'll have to wait for it to get deployed. And then once you've done that, you'll have to set up community nodes. And then once you've done that, you'll have to install the MCP servers, right? And it's quite complex, quite a technical job. Whereas, for example, if you go into Visual Studio Code and you've got your API key plugged in, you can just go to the MCP Marketplace. You can type in, for example, Perplexity Research. We've already got this installed. And if we look through the list here, for example, you got browser tools, you got a Solana agent kit here, which is quite interesting. Email sender, so you can send emails directly through the MCP servers inside Klein. Airtable, it links to directly as well. Airtable is actually pretty confusing to set up with NA10 from my own experience. And some of the AI Profit Boardroom members have told me that too. Shopify, Spotify, etc. Right? So all the main MCP servers are inside here directly, and it's a lot easier to set up, right? So let's say, for example, you want to set up Perplexity and you want to use the MCP server inside there. You can just click on install and then get that installed, right? So for example, if we go and click plus over here, and we'll say, okay, is the Perplexity MCP server installed? We're just going to use Claude to get that figured out. And you can see it's now figured out, okay, yes, this is installed, right? We're ready to go on that. All right. And then we can check, is it working? So can you test if the Perplexity MCP server is working? We'll prove that. And sometimes this doesn't work, right? So sometimes it does have an error. If you have that problem, that's why it's worth testing. But the good thing about this is instead of setting this up on terminal where you have to figure out the problems, Claude Sonnet inside Klein can just figure out this for you, right? So you can just go off and figure all this stuff out for you. So wait for that to load. And now you can see we've got the response back from the MCP server. All right, so we've said, okay, what is the current date? And then it's come back to us with the answers. Now, you might have to go back and forth with Klein a little bit before it's set up. But honestly, that is so much easier than using the normal method of just trying to install this manually and everything else. So once you're doing that, like you can see right here, it says user wants me to explain what an MCP server is using Perplexity, right? And then it says client wants to use a tool on the Perplexity Research MCP server. We've got the message right here. So that's what we're going to send to Perplexity. Perplexity responds with this from the MCP. And then we've got the answer directly in the chat right here, right? So it's pretty easy to do, pretty easy to set up, and pretty easy to use. Now, if you actually go to the marketplace over here, and then you click on install inside the marketplace, this is the task it's going to set up. So it says set up the MCP server, blah, blah, blah. Here's the information. And then using Perplexity, let's say you need to use Perplexity, you need to grab the API key as well, right? So you would just go to Perplexity, AI, go into your settings over here, then you're going to select API key. And then from there, you can scroll down, grab the API key, like you see right here, and wait for that to load. And then it will test out for you, like you can see. So it's perform a general search query to get comprehensive information. We're running that query through the MCP server. And then we've actually got the response back as well, which is beautiful. So you can see here, it confirms that the MCP server is working correctly. Bear in mind, this is going to use some credits, but it's cost us like $0.02 to use this. And also, if you want to get like a cheaper version, or if you want to get a free version, you don't have to use Claude, right? You could use, for example, you could use maybe Google inside your settings for MCP. You can use a free API key from Google AI Studio and then use that to set up your AI agents. So you don't have to use Claude, but Claude is really good. And I'll show you why in a second. So we've got the example response back from Perplexity right here. So it's formatted it nicely as well in the chat. The search tool is working. It's also checking the get documentation tool as well. And it's tested all of the responses, right? So you can see here it said, I've successfully demonstrated 3 of the tools provided by the Perplexity MCP server, the search tool, the get documentation tool, and the check deprecated code tool, right? And then this is all working nicely. So now, for example, if we say, okay, what is the price of Tesla plus compare it historically using Perplexity, it's going to use the MCP server for that. It's figured out the query. So it's understood, okay, this is the question we need to ask. And then it's also set a detailed level, right? So you see how it says detailed level and then detailed right here. So set a detailed level in terms of the response we need back. And you could use this MCP server to scrape the internet, to interact with the internet directly, etc. Right? So you see here how it's like, I've successfully used the MCP server to get detailed information about this stuff. Here's all the information we got back. Like you see, you can get a nice little table with year, returns, etc. And now we could use that information and Claude to create a nice website. So we could say to Claude, using this information from Perplexity's MCP server on Tesla stock, now create a website landing page with a breakdown and analysis of Tesla's stock plus future predictions based on this, right? Make it beautifully designed. Now, the good thing about using Claude when you're interacting with MCP servers and creating apps or tools or websites, etc., is that when you're doing this and you're coding out the files, Claude can actually, number one, is one of the best for coding. Number two, it's one of the best for front-end development as well. But number three, it can actually use browser use, right? So unlike a lot of APIs, not only does it have vision, it's multimodal, but also it can use browser use. So it can, for example, like check through that website, it can deploy that website. It will actually show you a preview of Claude navigating through the website as it's checking all the information. Pretty powerful stuff right there. We'll wait for that to load. So here's an example, right? So, if you want like a more enterprise or more practical use for using MCP servers. So this is using AI agents in OpenAI. So you can see, for example, you can configure agents with built-in tools, hand off tasks, add safety guardrails, etc. Like you can see. Here's another example. So this is Stripe as an MCP server. So you can search your own Stripe and call Stripe APIs directly. You can use this inside Cursor as well. Cursor would be another good option for setting this up. Like you can see. And then these MCP servers can like invoice, send payment links, etc. Right? So you can install that inside client, inside the marketplace too. So let's go back to Visual Studio Code. So now you can see, for example, it's built out that website and it's browsing through the website. So we can see the history of how this is not me controlling my mouse. Like this is Claude literally looking through the website where it's taken the information from the MCP server and then use that to build out a landing page. All right. Now you could also, for example, have an MCP server for scraping the SERPs, right? So if you're an SEO, then you can have an MCP server where you do Google searches in live real time. Okay. And then you can see we've got this example. And then if we run this command, it's going to open up the website that we've just built using the information from the MCP. Because it's got the custom instructions inside client, it's all branded to our website, right? So it's got the Tesla stock analysis, comprehensive breakdown of Tesla's performance, future outlook. And just double checking. So yeah, you can see the Tesla stock price near enough the same, right? So it's taking that information and use that to come up with the stock price. And then it's got a current stock analysis. So the current price, 52-week range, market cap, profit earnings ratio, historical performance. So it's looked at all that information from Perplexity. And when you integrate an MCP server with an AI agent, it's pretty amazing what you can build, like you can see. Right? And then it's also created the whole site. And literally all we did was just have a few little prompts. Now also because we have the custom instructions inside client, this is branded to us. And additionally, if we click like the CTA buttons throughout the website, you can see that's linking directly to us. So pretty cool, pretty easy to set up, really powerful knowledge. And when you combine the power of AI agents with MCP servers, particularly Claude, because it can, number one, design stuff nicely, it can use vision, it can browse the pages that you're creating, and also it's the most intelligent model. So it tends to set things up and solve problems quickly, which is great because if you're using MCP servers as well, one of the biggest problems is like it's quite technical to set up. So you do need some sort of help. And this is probably the most intelligent AI that you can use to help you along the way. So that's how you can set them up. And then also inside NA10, like I was saying before, if you set up community nodes with MCP servers, so let me show you an example. All right, so you can install and manage community nodes, and then you can set up AI agents with MCP servers inside NA10 using Claude. So let me show you an example of how to set up in a second. So we've got the NA10 nodes MCP, like you can see. So this is the MCP NA10 nodes section. And then we can go back here, install that, click I understand. Takes a little while for that to install, so just be patient. And now we've got that installed. Beautiful, right? Absolutely beautiful. So now if we start from scratch, create a new agent, just going to delete these icons right here. We have the MCP client ready to go, right? So if we search here, MCP client. All right. Now, just to recap, there's a full recipe on this inside the AI Profit Boardroom. If you ever get stuck, just jump on the weekly Q&As. But that is essentially how you do it, all right? So just to recap from start to finish, how do you set up an MCP client inside NA10 if you want to get this done, right? So if you want to do that, you would install Elastio, right? So you're going to set up Elastio. Then from here, you're going to install NA10, right? So we've got the service set up as NA10. If you want to do this, you just go to services, create a new service inside Elastio. Then from there, select NA10, select that, install this, click on next. And then once you've done that, deploy it like you can see right here. So the server is running for Elastio and our project right here. Then we've got the admin UI. So we just log in on the admin UI. Once you've done that, you've got this hosted on elastio.app. Beautiful. And then if you want to get this connected to Claude, click on chat trigger. We can then type in our AI agent. All right. Then with the AI agent, we're going to set up an Anthropic chat module, like you can see. And we just have to add our credentials. If you're wondering how do you create a new credential, let me show you. So you just grab an API key. So if you go to console.anthropic.com, we can grab an API key here. All right, so get API keys, and then we'll create a new one. I'm just going to do that off screen. Un segundo, as my Spanish friends say. All right, we'll copy that key, plug it into the API key section here, hit save, boom shakalaka, ready to go. So we've got Claude 3.7 Sonnet set up. And then from here, we can set up an MCP client, right? So this is the node. We can execute a tool. Then you're going to set up the tool name, add the credential, and you're ready to go on the MCP server. So it's really easy to set up MCP servers inside NA10, like you can see. You can also use Docker for setting that up. And then, for example, if you wanted to install like the Brave MCP server, you can just run the commands like you can see right here, right? So here's an example workflow. So we've got, when clicking test workflow, it goes to the AI agent, but also goes to the MCP client, lists the tools, executes the tools, and then you can set that up like you can see right here. All right, and you can link this to OpenAI or other different modules. If you want to see a really in-depth video on how to set up MCP servers with NA10, I might do that in the future, but this is essentially how it goes. You can also link an AI agent to an MCP client, right? So when you click test workflow, here's an example. So it uses OpenAI and the AI agent. And then as a tool, MCP clients are linked directly there. So that's another way to get this set up as well. But yeah, either way, between these two modules that we've talked about, it's really easy to set up MCP servers. Honestly, for me, I would recommend for most people watching this, the easiest and least technical way to get this all set up is using Claude 3.7 Sonnet inside Client and Visual Studio Code. But if you want to go a bit more technical and have a bit more freedom, then you would go inside NA10, set up an MCP client, and from there, you're going to get more freedom, but it's going to be more technical to set up as well. And I'll probably do a video on that in the future. So thanks so much for watching. That is basically how to set up MCP servers with Claude. If you want the full recipe, it's inside the classroom of the AI Profit Boardroom. Just go to the recipe section like here. This all comes with my best automations and courses and workflows on like AI agents. We've got a new section on NA10 templates and workflows like you can see, recommended watches section, a crash course, all our Q&A call recordings. Additionally, if you want to jump on weekly Q&As with us, feel free to jump on those. You can see them inside the calendar here. And inside the community as well, you can ask any questions you have and you'll get responses pretty quickly. So for example, Rick was asking about web design prompts and he's already got 3 responses inside the community, right? So it's all about a rising tide that lifts all boats. Imagine if you were in a community full of people all focused on making money and saving time with AI agents and AI in general, how much would that benefit you? Would it save you at least 1 hour a month? And is your time worth more than $49 per month? Absolutely. So the whole thing pays for itself and you can get access inside the comments and description. Just click on the AI Profit Boardroom link. Additionally, the prices are going up at the end of the month. So if you want to lock in your legacy price now and not face the price increases, then just sign up below now, right? Before the end of the month and make sure you don't miss out. Additionally, if you want to get a free one-to-one SEO strategy session, feel free to get that link in the comments description. We'll show you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visits this month and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales on autopilot on this free link building acceleration session. You'll get a free SEO domination plan, custom tailored to you, your business, etc. And you'll discover the secrets of SEO link building, we'll answer any questions you have one-to-one, and you'll learn the best link building strategy for your website, plus how to 10x SEO traffic based on what's working for us and our happy clients, like you can see right here. Feel free to get that link in the comments and description. Appreciate you watching.